I'm sorry, little guy, but it has to be done. They want to see it. I have to let you go. Pause. It breaks my heart, so let's see how we got there. I promise if you're nice, I'll show you the end of the footage, so stay tuned. If you've been following my videos, watching me draw, you might sometimes wonder why I use those super long pointy leads like that. Why do I sharpen my pencils to such an insane length like that, making it very fragile and risking to break it? And obviously there is a good reason for that, and I'm going to try to explain why professional artists or classically trained atelier artists sharpen pencils like that or use super long leads, because it's very helpful for drawing, and I'm going to explain why. And don't worry, I'll make it worth your time. I'll try to explain to you a couple of useful things about drawing while I'm doing this. The first thing is you don't necessarily need a pencil like that. If you're always drawing sitting down, if you're always drawing on a desk, like when you're writing, for example, in this case, a pencil like that is never going to be very useful for you. You absolutely don't need to have a pencil sharpened like that, but it might help if you want to make classical drawing with a high degree of accuracy, value representation, if you want a lot of nuance in the amount of shades that you can represent with your graphite pencil, then in that case you want a lead like that. But if all you do is draw like you write on a desk, in this case a normal pencil like that would be just fine, so don't worry about it. So I'm not saying that you need a pencil like that, but if you want to do the type of realism that I'm looking for, then it's definitely a plus. Think of it like, pro photographers. When you ask them, do you want a camera with low resolution sensor or a super high resolution sensor, they'll always go for the super high resolution sensor. So I know there are some exceptions, but in like a super high tech camera doesn't make a good photographer, but you see the point. Or maybe let's take the example of a surgeon. Do you think they want a big butcher's knife like that, or a very small little scalpel like that, that can make extra fine cuts very, very precisely? See, this is why a long pencil like that gives you precision and also a high degree of resolution. Basically, this would be low resolution pencil and this would be a high resolution pencil. You can get way more nuances, way more different value with this one than with this one. And I'm going to try to explain why. It's all about geometry. Angle makes pressure and pressure makes resolution. So here's my normal pencil sharpened normally, very normally. Everything is good. Look at the angle that I can get with this one. I can be all the way here, and there I'm reaching a limit here. It bumps on the little wooden part here at some point. In this case, the amplitude of the angles that I can reach is pretty limited. With a pencil like that, the amount that I can reach and the angle is, I can almost put it flat on the surface. And this extra distance between the tip of my pencil and where I hold it can create a lot of extra angles and pressure. I can go extremely lightly and do the very, very high resolution details that I couldn't do with that, because as you can see, the wood bumps on the surface. Right, so let's show the difference. Let's try to be as light as possible. These are the same brand, same softness 2B in both cases. And I'm going to try to go as light as I can with this one, with this 2B. But see, I have a limited reach here because I can't angle it more than that. And I'm pressing I'm almost not pressing, but it's pretty uneven. I don't really get a lot of control. There are a lot of tiny spots. The lead is starting to get an uncomfortable, shape that I really don't control much. It's not great. It's okay and all, but it's not great. And now the same pencil, same brand, same softness, but with this long lead. And now See, when I can press it way more, I can have a lot more subtlety in the pressure, and I can control it much better. I can bring it in much softer tones. There's just more amplitude in what I can do because of that. The way I'm holding it, I can reach some very, very light tones that I couldn't reach if I didn't have this very sharp, pointy lead. I can go, and what's good is also I can press. I could get the same exact pressure that I could have with the other one. And don't get me wrong, you can still make it work, but it's just more tricky, it's more difficult. Just like you can take good photos with a low resolution sensor, but you can really not equal what a high resolution sensor can do. And this is exactly the same thing with that. You just have more precision, more control. So you have more values that you can barely achieve with that. It works much better. So that's one thing. More angle gives you more pressure variety, and more pressure variety makes drawing easier and gives you a higher level of resolution. And sometimes what I do is I also use these pencil holders like that to extend even more the reach that I can get. So with that, I can have stupidly long angle. It's almost like a sword. Look at that. I'm almost fencing with this thing. Here, look at the insane amplitude that I can have by doing this. If you hold it like that, just in general, in a drawing, it's always a good idea to not hold your pencil like you would hold a pen to write. Drawing and writing are two very different things. And with drawing, you want more amplitude. This is why I draw standing up, actually, because it gives you a lot more amplitude. You can articulate your graphic gesture from the shoulder up, from the elbow up, from the wrist, or even from the fingers. Like, all the joints can work in combination. You have a lot more types of gestures and pressures, and it makes a world of difference in what you can achieve, in the values, in the subtlety. So this super insanely long rapier kind of pencil is really something that can push your drawings to the next step if you're looking into making your values better. But of course, you don't necessarily have to sharpen the pencil like that. It's kind of annoying. If you want, you can also use a mechanical pencil like that. It works really well. It's very useful, very helpful. You don't have to sharpen. It's just that I personally, but this is just a personal choice, I personally don't like the feeling of the mechanical pencil. I like the touch of the wooden pencil. I like how it feels. Sharpening also gives me an excuse to take a little break. Usually I'll go sharpen my pencils. It's kind of relaxing in a way. I actually did one during a streaming session, and the people in chat were finding that really relaxing, and also suggesting that I would start an ASMR channel with just pencil sharpening. So stay tuned for Florent Farge ASMR pencil sharpening coming soon. No, but seriously, how do you sharpen a pencil like that? Well, it's pretty simple. You just chip off the wood here, the wooden part on the sides, very carefully. And yes, to respond to your questions, it is frustrating when it breaks. It doesn't break that often if the pencil is good quality, if you didn't drop it on the floor before. But yeah, dropping it on the floor is actually a nightmare. So you just get rid of the wooden part here, and not all softness require the same type of length. Usually the softer, like 2B, you don't have to make the tip super long. You can make it rather short, like that. For the harder ones, you can make a little bit extra, because it's going to stay longer and it's going to stay in shape for longer. This is also one of the great benefits of doing this, is actually you end up sharpening and doing pencil maintenance less often, because after that, like once you have most of the wood chipped off and you just have the right length, what you want to do is just take a little piece of sandpaper that you just staple on a piece of wood like that and just shape the pencil like that, resharpen it like that, and that's all. So maybe just a little bit of maintenance while you're doing the drawing session, just sanding a little bit to get a nice point, and yeah, that's all you need. And after that, just clean it up from the dust. And there you go. So it actually makes you clean up less often. It's actually pretty cool. Another super interesting feature of this way of sharpening is you can really get in the details of the paper. You can get such a high degree of accuracy with that. You can really go into the grain and work very, very lightly. It's almost surgical. Look at that. Isn't that cool? With a normal pencil, you can't really get in the details of the surface. You can't really dive into the grain of the paper, so you're left with whatever texture the pencil can bring you. And then you have to smudge everything. It's not really clean, but with a sharp lead, you can really dive in the details and you can go in the tiny holes. Like if there are holes that weren't filled, you can get inside of the holes really and just take the graphite and put the graphite where it needs to be. This is amazing. Look at how beautiful it is from up close. It's just insane. It can also be used for blending. For example, I can blend with this stuff because it's just so subtle that it's just going to bring the graphite into the holes instead of just spreading like what a blending stump would do. Like a stump would just blend like that. Not really great, not really helpful, but this kind of it's blending with graphite. It's a great blending tool because it gets into the grain, and it does require some patience, but you can go pretty hard with it. And it doesn't mean that you only have to limit yourself to very light touch. You can press very hard. And actually, if I want to go dark, I can. I have the whole range of values at my disposal with this. I can do whatever I want, which is cool. And I have full control. It's just, yeah, I don't know any better analogy than saying that this is just a high resolution graphic tool. Another thing you can do to complement that is to make your eraser also pointy and sharp like that if you want to make the corrections. Look at that. Now with a little point, I can go in the grain of the paper and remove the little bits here that are just full of graphite where it's not needed. And this is this surgical precision that makes the difference in the end. Okay, I think now we're reaching the moment I was the most worried about. I know you want to see it. I know you want to see the frustration of what it feels like when you drop this on the floor. Because, yeah, that's the big problem. That's really what sucks. Oh, gosh. Can't believe I'm gonna do that. Okay, let's go. You want to see it, I guess. Alright, you got it. Oh, I can't watch. I'm sorry, little guy, but it has to be done. They want to see it. They want to see it. I have to let you go. God, no! Nah, my heart is really broken because I basically broke a pencil voluntarily just for the meme. So make sure you don't leave without a like, alright? I'll see you for the next one, my friends. Bye.